Hi.
Hello, Zaid. How are you? You look
Good.
very comfortable.
Why?
You just look all relaxed, laying down on your side. You look so relaxed and comfortable. That's fantastic.
Yeah, I changed my place.
All right.
Mm.
So, if you can remind me again, what town in Kentucky are you living in?
I'm in Lexington.
Lexington. That's right. Oh, it's
Yeah,
so beautiful. That's in the bluegrass part of the state, by the way.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's very beautiful.
I think so. I've been through. Have you been through Appalachia yet? The eastern part of the state?
No, not yet.
Oh, you should. It's very famous for moonshine. Very famous for moonshine and a bunch of other stuff. I think we'll probably.
Moonshine?
Yes, moonshine is kind of a illegal substance or kind of a special, very strong whiskey that people
Uh,
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 create in the mountains.
I went to the bourbon white turkey
Hmm.
manufacturer with
Hmm.
my friends.
I think we'll
But
probably,
I don't drink alcohol
of
actually.
course, of course. Are you're practicing Sunni? Is that right?
Excuse me?
Are you a practicing Sunni Muslim? Is that correct?
You mean Sunni?
Yes, yes. I apologize for my pronunciation.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sorry. Excuse me, I want to change the headphone because this one is not clear.
No problem. It looks like Matthew's not done with his
Yeah,
class yet, so we're going. I think we have time. Oh, it looks like more people are coming in already,
yeah.
but we probably have some time. Okay. And Miss Al Ghanem is back again. Wonderful. Looks like we
Hello.
have also three people in the view. Okay. Let's see. All right, so we have three people, four viewers. I think Matthew is still teaching his course, so we will probably have a slow number of people coming in. Let's see, we have four. Okay, well, we'll wait for a little bit longer for his class to finish. This is the first, I think, job interview class that we've taught on Verbling, so I'm very happy to have people here today. Even though some people may have jobs, it's always good to practice, and it's a very important social skill. So let's go ahead and we can get started as soon as we get a few more people in here. All right, so we have Zaid, and we have Allah, and we have Mr. Alik. How are you, sir?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing great. Alik, where are you from?
Originally, I'm from Syria,
Mm-hmm.
and now I've been in the UK like since 4 or 5 years.
Oh, okay. So you've been in the UK for about half a decade, well before the current situation in Syria.
Actually, it's like it's really bad, and it's
Yeah.
getting worse and worse, and like everything is.
Yes, several of my regular students, there are three brothers who are my regular students in for my classes. They have a situation where they are always
Uh-huh.
they were in Syria, and now all three of them are in the UAE, in the United Arab Emirates,
Yeah,
because of that situation.
UAE, yeah. Actually, like
Mm.
I came here like originally just to study, but now I can't go back, because the situation is really like bad, and I can't like there is no airport, there is nothing there, so it's really like difficult to go back.
All right. Yeah, and that's it's unfortunate, but I'm grateful that you're safe.
Oh,
Uh,
thank you very much, man.
oh, no problem. I wonder, since this is a job interviews class, we may have a low participation rate. That could also be good. Who knows? It's very possible that it could be. I'm going to check in on our friend over across to see. Ah, that's why. He's still teaching his class. Fantastic. Other Matthew means to All right, so we'll go ahead and get started without the others. They can come on over once that class gets done, and I may go over a little extra time for this course. They're covering, I think, I think I was looking. They were covering Bob Dylan. He's one of my favorite musicians, actually. So. Oh, I don't know. I'm not sure if you guys know, but there are two teachers named Matthew on this Verbling website. One is me, the other is the other Matthew, and I like to call him Sports Matthew because he's our sports expert.
I think the one who's teaching right now the music stuff.
Yeah, he's finishing his music, and it's actually he and I both have teach music courses. He teaches the history and all of the information for music, and I teach. The singing. I force people to sing. So there's that's somebody was telling me, like, don't you know there's two Matthews? I was like, yes, the other Matthew is awesome. You should take both of us. And the thing is, we always schedule our classes right next to each other, kind of on purpose, because it's kind of cool.
You are awesome. You are awesome.
Thank you. I think all of our teachers at Verbling, we picked really, really good teachers. Have you had April or Libby yet? I really recommend having April or Libby. We also have some really other good ones too. I know later on this evening, my time, Aleli will have a class. Also, have you had Libby yet, or Lisa or Natalia? Also, there's Rebecca. She teaches a vocabulary class several hours from now. I recommend having. Okay, we'll go ahead and begin. So this today's is kind of what we would call a role play. It's a role play on it's a role play from about job interviewing. And while some of us may already have work, I think it's important that we practice this skill just because it's a good skill to have in an economy like ours. Even in the United States, the economy is still only just now begun to recover. So it's an important thing we have to consider. Okay, so Juma, are you there? No. That's gonna go ahead, Juma. I'm gonna go ahead and mute your microphone just because it's very loud and creating some background noise. Just try to fix it, and we can get started. It looks like Jesus is back. Also, Gwen. Okay. It looks like I think the other class. Must have let out. So now the rest of everybody else is coming in. Okay, so this is a job interview role play course, and like we said, several people already have jobs. Allah has a job as a professor, but others of us do not. And at any rate, it's important to know these skills because we need to practice these important job skills. Okay, so those of you who haven't had me before, my name is Matthew. I'm a teacher here at Verbling. I am from the state of Texas in the United States, and I teach a range of classes, and this is the first time I've taught this particular course here. Even if you have work, it's important to keep these skills prepared and ready. So what we're going to do is, beginning with Zaid, we're going to introduce ourselves, our country, maybe something interesting about yourself, and a little bit about the work that you do. What is your job, or what job do you want? Okay, so let's begin with Zaid. Zaid, would you mind letting us know a little bit about your background and your current field of work or study?
Yeah.
Hi.
My name is Zaid, and I'm from Iraq. And I live in Kentucky, USA. It's very warm today. And I have worked in Iraq in the University of Mosul. I am teaching statistics, probability, and mathematics, something like that. And I'm come to the USA to study my PhD in statistics. So I don't have work right now, maybe after I complete my English language, I could have a part-time job.
But I think a PhD candidate is actually a job. You're a student, but really it is a job. So we can say a PhD candidate definitely is work.
Yeah. Like doing research or something like that.
Yes, and you are paid. You're not paid a large salary, but you do receive what's called a stipend, enough money to take care of yourself.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
Yes, and of course you had to interview and apply for this position because it's very competitive.
Yeah.
So all right, so we've got we have Tim over, and so we have Tim over in South Africa. Long time no see, indeed.
Hi.
So, Tim, let us know your background, what you study, and what kind of job do you want?
Actually,
Tim, are you there? Did you disappear? No, Tim fell away. Okay, all right. Well, we lost Tim. God bless you. That's so sad. And I notice Anais is being a kind of the policeman in the Verbling chat, reminding people to please try and only speaks English, not Spanish. I guess let us try to remember to type only Spanish, or I'm sorry, English in the Verbling chat. Even though I can read Spanish, I think it's polite that we only focus on our English language. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to Jesus. Not Jesus, Sebastian. Sebastian, would you mind telling us a little bit about your work, your background, and what kind of job you have, or your job that you want to have?
I'm studying for being a film director.
Whoa.
Yeah, but I mean that is the name of the career. But I want to be a producer.
Finally.
Oh, hello, Mike.
Mike finally made it.
Or writing, being a writer, a script writer. Is that okay?
No, I think that's fantastic, and that means that your language skills must be. You must make sure they're very strong. Yeah, perfect.
It must be perfect. Yeah, in English and in Spanish also.
Mm-hmm. And very very great. And so, Mike, you finally made it into the classroom. That's what you get for being late to one of my classes.
No, I was in the other class with Matthew, with the other Matthew, you know.
With Sports Matthew, yes, I know.
Yeah, with the Sport Matthew. So,
yes, I know. But you know, hey,
but finally here, man.
The seats fill. The seats fill. For both Matthew and I, the seats fill very fast. Let's tell us a little bit about yourself, your background in education, and what is your current job, or what job do you want to have?
Well, well, how was the question? I'm from El Salvador. I'm from El Salvador, and well, I have a degree in computers, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I'm working like a, how to say this, like a freelancer, you know, like a web moderator.
Yes. I think we used the term yesterday. Yeah, you are a.
You told me yesterday about.
You're an independent contractor.
Independent contractor. Yeah,
yes,
that is right.
Mm-hmm.
Hello?
Hi, Tim.
I think that is all.
I think I lost the contact.
It's okay, Tim. Let's go back to you, Tim. Will you tell everybody a little bit about your background, your industry, and what job do you have, or would you like to have?
First of all, I'm not working at the moment. I'm searching job at the moment. My job line is about business administration and also hotel management. I'm looking at that kind of jobs. I want that kind of jobs involved in business line, in business administration or hotel management, something like that.
So hotel management.
For that reason, I need to improve my English. Why attend this class?
All right, wonderful. Thank you, sir.
And
I know that Juma is trying to work on his microphone at the moment. So, Ms. Huen, if you wouldn't mind telling us a little bit about your educational background and what kind of career are you interested in?
Yeah, I haven't got a job yet, but I graduated in economics, and I really want to have my own business.
Ah, what kind of business?
Yeah, maybe a small business, and I really want to start with a restaurant.
Oh, wonderful. That sounds great. What kind of cuisine would your restaurant cater to?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking about like Latinos because it's not popular here. So I
All
want to
right,
do.
guys, are you paying attention? My friends in Latin America, Juan is considering opening up a Latin American cuisine restaurant in her hometown of Hue.
Interesting.
Yummy, yummy.
So those of you who are looking for employment opportunities, kindly refer to so that's actually very innovative. I think you've located an area where there is a demand, probably, or an interest, and there is no one in the market to service it. That's very clever, actually. Watch, Miss Nguyen is going to end up being rich. It's going to happen, likely. So let's go ahead and move on to Anais. Anais, tell us a little bit about your education, maybe your college you went to, your major, and what kind of career are you interested in?
Right now I'm looking for a bilingual assistant job. And I just start my study. I mean, I start again. I went back to university this year to study law, finish my studies.
Okay, you said you're studying law?
Yeah, I quit a couple years ago and realized that it wasn't a good idea.
So which university are you studying at in France or Paris?
La Sorbonne.
Oh, wow, that's a prestigious law clinic. Congratulations.
Thank you. I mean, I have no pride. You know, it's kind of, you at the university, you ask for if you live in the town. So.
I have some friends of mine graduated from Sciences Po, the political science university in Paris.
Cool.
Yeah, so they always used to be so proud of it. Like, well, Matthew, you know, we graduated from Sciences Po. I was like, that's nice. So what? We're all political.
It's definitely not the best one in France, you know.
Oh, be nice, be nice. Actually, it's the best.
I mean, it's mine, but
my major, it's the best in France.
But La Sorbonne in the world is not a really crazy great university. It's just.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it at all.
No.
And let's go ahead with Alik. Alik, tell us a little bit about your education background and your industry.
My industry is really good question. Your industry, actually, like I'm a PhD student and I am about to finish my PhD.
Which university are you attached to the PhD faculty?
Studying at Essex University.
Oh wow! Congratulations.
Thanks. It's like my third year in the PhD, and like I'm having my final viva. And actually, I'm doing 2 part-time jobs. The first one is as a graduate teacher assistant here at the university. I'm like teaching here. And the other job, which I like more, is like as bouncer or security stuff, which like give me like some quite good money, and that's why I like it.
I wrote that you're a bouncer also. So you're not only an academic and a teacher, you are also a bouncer. A bouncer is somebody who stands in front of a club, and if maybe you're causing trouble, they tell you to get out.
Exactly.
He's a huge man.
Yeah, this is better than my PhD actually.
Risky business.
That's wonderful, wonderful. That you're risky. Maybe. I don't know if it's risky. Alik, you look pretty tough. I'm pretty sure you are quite good.
It's quite good, yeah. It's just
actually
kind of fun all the time. Sometimes it's risky, but it's rarely happened like something bad, or it's just like you have to know how to like to be.
Sorry, Alik.
Or with people. Yep.
That's wonderful. And
Which club are you working on?
I'm working in many clubs actually because there is a company and they assign us like for many clubs, and there is one it's called Liquid.
In Essex or London?
In Essex, like with the most pretty girls ever here in Essex.
Everybody get your notes. Let's write down the address.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you something about Essex because it's famous in England and because it's famous for her, like it's hot girls. That's why, like everyone is used to in coming to Essex actually.
Fantastic. Okay, so we've learned a little bit about everybody so far. I like that we have 2 PhD candidates here and a law student. A little of my background: I have a master's degree, and actually, just like you, Alik, when I was doing my master's, I had to be a graduate fellow or a graduate assistant, and then I became a faculty member at the school.
So what was your master in?
My master's is in political science and economics. Actually, one of the schools that I will apply for PhD in maybe 2 years. I'm too young right now to apply for PhD. I need to work more and publish more. Eventually, I will apply to maybe LSE, London School of Economics, is one school.
That's great.
Because it's very competitive, so I have to try because it's one of the best in my major.
Yeah, I should give it a try. I'm sure.
Yeah. Huen asks us, Matthew, a moment ago you said lay snow a bit around. Lay snow a bit around. What does it mean? I think maybe I said something else. Lay snow. Maybe you misheard me. It's possible. I'll try to think about what sentence I said.
Yeah, it's like when you want to ask somebody to add some information. But I heard that, but I'm not sure. That's what I'm asking.
It's okay. I'll try to think about what it's okay. I'll try to remember the exact words for it and get back to you in a moment. Allah. Speaking of other professors, Allah, are you there? Allah, are you there, or are you muted? Maybe you're muted. I'm sad. I'm very sad. Oh, there you are. Okay, great. Okay, so Allah,
how are you?
We're doing great. So you're a professor in Saudi Arabia, and could you tell everybody the major that you teach?
I am teach in college, network college. I teach ethical computer and parallel computing.
So some fields.
Two courses.
Great. So some fields in the computer sciences.
Yes, yes.
Wonderful. So we have many different disciplines. Several of us are academics, are teachers. Others of us are interested in the law. We have yet others who have some background in bouncing, which is fantastic. And Tim has a background in hotel management and is looking for a job in that field. Also writers. Now I see we have 2 new people who just came in. Jesus Enrique, it's great to see you, sir. How are you?
Good, and you? How are you?
Fantastic. Do you mind telling us, since this is going to be a class, we're talking a little bit about what it was like to interview for jobs in the second half of this class. Can you tell us a little bit about your education and your career industry?
Well, I'm a study system engineer in UTESA on Dominican Republic.
So you're in the Dominican Republic, yes. Could you tell me your job again?
I'm working as shop seller.
Oh, okay. So you work as a shop seller. You work in basically a small business. Excellent.
I'm working in a store.
Oh, okay. Excellent. So seller, and as a seller. Oh, so you work a little bit in what we would call marketing. In English, we'd say marketing because you're trying to sell.
Oh, market.
Yeah, or marketing because you're trying to sell an item. So we would say that you're a marketer or you're engaging in marketing. So that's a great field. I'm happy that we have someone on board. So, okay, it looks like we've got just about everybody covered, and it looks like Zaid has just got back in. So let's talk right now. I'm going to open for open discussion here. Let's be honest. Job interviewing, it is very stressful. It's very frustrating, especially if you don't get the job. And it's one of the hardest things you can do, but you have to do it well in order to be employed. So let's talk. I would like to everybody right now. You can just chime in and discuss. There's no order. What is the scariest or most difficult part of a job interview, in your opinion? Who wants to share?
The introduction.
The introduction. Why do you think so, Huen?
Yeah, because you have to be selective. What should tell and what should not. And sometimes I don't know what to tell my interviewers. So.
That is the first impression of you. It's very important.
Absolutely, because if you screw up that first impression, it's said that an interviewer makes their first impression of an applicant in just the first 15 seconds of meeting you. So, no pressure, right? No stress. So, they make their first impression of an applicant in just the first 15 seconds. So, you have to really impress them. And we all know that you have to dress nice, get your hair cut, dress in a fantastic suit.
Good teeth.
Excellent teeth, brush your teeth, smile, shake your hands, and of course it differs by culture. There's different greetings and etiquette by culture.
Your smell.
Of course you probably have to have a copy of your CV, your resume ready, or at least memorized it. And Huen brings up a good point. What the hell do you say to these people when you first interview? Because likely maybe you have more than one job interview because you're trying to find a job in several places. For those of us who have some experience in this field, like our PhD students who probably interviewed with many for many positions, what would you suggest? What would you suggest to help somebody prepare for a specific interview if you don't know what to say?
To be relaxed.
Yeah, I suggest. Yeah, if you don't know what to say, you can go to the pub before the interview. You can drink a couple of pint beer, and you can go to the interview.
I would say that you have to be relaxed. This is the first, to be relaxed.
It's very helpful. Also, Matthew, we're talking about job interviews, but I don't understand sometimes in the job interviews some cliche questions and very stupid. First of all, interview asks you, why do you want to work with us? It really is a silly question.
Well, it may seem silly, but I can say from the perspective of, in my last job, I actually was, part of my job was choosing people and hiring them when I was working as a campaign director. One reason that they asked this is for a simple thing. Even though, I mean, of course, for us it's very simple. I want to work at your company because it is in my field, and I want to make money. This is the general, for all of us, it's the reason why you would apply for a professorship if you have a PhD, why Anais is going to apply to work for a legal firm someday, why Huen is going to apply for a business loan for her restaurant. But that's not enough for an interviewer because, for example, like I like that you brought this up, Tim. Like this past campaign season when I had people interview to work on our staff for our congressional race down in South Texas. They would come in because the pay was relatively good. I would ask them, so you're interested in working as a staffer for our campaign office. Why are you interested? There's a reason for this. For one, in this case, specifically politics or any competitive industry, you need to understand, well, is this person going to fit our particular mission? And in many cases, and it can differ, in many cases, like with me, I ended up declining individuals who more or less said, well, I need money, or I just like office assignment, or I think the benefit is good. Because the motives behind an individual also show their personality and if they're going to fit your office climate.
Don't you think it's very cliche? It's not creative question.
Oh, I think it's necessary and practical. It's a
And
very
it's because of
necessary,
the field,
practical question.
you know. I mean, right now it was for politics, so yeah. I mean, he has to the person has to match, you know, his sensitivity and his goals and so on. But for example, you know, right now.
Hold on, guys, hold on. We're getting we got 3 people talking. Let's
Talking
keep
in
it.
French?
Let's calm down. So Anais brings up a good point, but it's even if it
right
wasn't.
now, for example, I'm looking for an assistant job. I mean, I'm not interested in it, and I don't care which company I'm going to work for, to be honest, you know? And so it's a little bit harder to say why I want to work in your firm, because it's just because I want money because I'm a student.
That's right. But, of course, if you admit that it's just because you want money, I mean, of course, we all need money. We're all poor, maybe, sometimes. But how can we make it, at least, we have a saying or a slang in America. We say, fake it until you make it. So you have to prove to you have to convince an interviewer that even if it's for a secretary job or administrative assistant job at a regular company, that you love that company and its mission. So I think what this needs is research. You need to research the company very critically. Maybe it's a pharmaceutical company. Maybe it's a medical company. Maybe you're applying to work for a medical company just to be an office worker. It's nothing special. It's nothing particular. But you need to research the company's history, goals, background. That way, for example, I think Anais, whenever you are doing this interview, and so let's say you're working for Bayer. Bayer is a large pharmaceutical company, and it has offices in Paris. You'd say, so, Anais, I'm very interested. Why, of all companies, why are you interested in working as an administrative assistant for Bayer? And you could bring up, for example, well, Bayer's a major pharmaceutical industry. My father is, and maybe this is true or not, my father is a pharmacist or is a medical doctor, and I always grew up with some familiarity in the medical field, and even though this is a non-medical job, just a clerical job, I really want to be part of this particular industry. And then you explain the detail. Maybe sometimes I've done that.
That's called klecha.
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 Yeah, but
could
I find
you?
this weird because we all know the deep down reason is money. Why do we have to all like about it?
Yeah, and that's the big thing is an interview is kind of what? Acting.
Theater.
It's kind of theater, just like we were practicing in the last class. Isn't that amazing?
But it would be so easy if you just could be honest, you know?
Yes, people should be honest with each other.
People have to make a presentation.
I mean, for example,
I want money and I can help you make money.
Wait. Yes. So I was hearing a gentleman speak. Which one of our gentlemen was speaking? Was that you, Mike?
Well, no, it wasn't me.
Was it you? Alik, was it you? No, it was Zaid. There he is.
Zaid.
Yeah. I mean, people have to, or workers have to make a presentation before they get their teaching job in the United States. I mean, not only interview, like a presentation or something like that.
That's right.
I think Matthew, that all these tips, you know, they work when you are trying to, you know, you want to try to be hired for a company in your country. But in my case, for example, I was in an interview for 45 minutes, you know, trying to convince to my future boss and the manager and the human resource in English, man, you know.
It's scary, isn't it?
Yeah, it was very difficult, you know, to try to convince, you know, and don't try, you know, to make a mistake with my English. That was very hard.
Yeah, and I can relate to some extent because remember my first job after my bachelor's degree, I was going to go work in South Korea. So I interviewed in Korean at a time when I did not know Korean. Wow. So, and of course, Korean culture business culture is vastly different than American business culture. So I had to kind of research. Maybe I spent 1 week preparing before my interview.
Wow. And I received a notification.
It was terrifying.
I received my notification 2 hours, before
Yeah.
for the interview. So I was very scared, because I didn't know what they're gonna tell me. I didn't know anything about the company,
That's right.
It was
And Mike, but you ended up getting the position. Could you
Yeah.
tell us what do you think made the difference for you with your British company, with the British company that hired you?
how is the question? I don't get it.
What do you think why do you think your interview was successful with this British company?
Well, I don't know, because the people, how do you say, the human resources team, they were looking for some people that speak, Latin American, Spanish, but I have to make the interview in English. So, and they were asking me, things, about kids, about children, stuff like that. And I have to be very honest with them. I didn't have any knowledge about the, the company and what were they doing. So, but they give me the chance, and I'm still working for them. So.
Yeah, fantastic. It probably had to do a lot with your first impression. They likely were I think your charisma and the way you hold yourself is very professional, especially, and very engaging and friendly.
Yeah,
it probably helped a lot.
And in the last 5 minutes, I had, the interview in Spanish, because my interviewer, he is able to speak more than 20 languages, so. Yeah.
Wow.
He's really awesome. So he
Well,
didn't have any trouble with me.
well, I feel lazy.
That's when I want to become a polyglot in the future.
Well, that's one reason Verbling's here. Yes, Tim.
Yeah, what are you thinking about also glass ceiling?
Ah, the glass ceiling.
It's a big problem also.
For most countries. Yeah, glass ceiling.
What is that?
It's a phrase meaning and it's
discrimination.
Actually, it's a kind of discrimination, but it's geared more towards actually gender discrimination. In the U.S., we use this term usually for discrimination as a whole, but in particularly for discrimination against women. And it's the argument that in many companies there is a level to which it looks like a woman could become a CEO, but really there's an invisible wall or an invisible ceiling that keeps her from getting promoted because of gender discrimination. Almost
against
always.
Men also.
Well, I would argue probably not. It's in America we use this for discrimination against females.
Oh, I didn't know, just for women.
Almost exclusively when we use this in the United States, it's used to describe unfair discrimination against women, because from our business culture, the vast majority of chief executive officers are men, and unfortunately many women who are very qualified are not placed. So it's almost exclusively used to describe this particular situation. It's very shameful, actually. Yep. But it could be reason to be used in a broader sense, but almost always we use it as gender discrimination.
Sorry, Matthew. But what can I say how do you say for men in glass ceiling?
You could say it, but usually people will assume that you're talking about discrimination against women. You could say a glass ceiling against this man, or you could just say this man was discriminated against.
We have a saying in my country, for that kind of glass ceiling. It is not who you are, it's who you know.
Yeah, we have that too. We always say it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah.
Not what you know, but who you know. For example, yeah, I think so. And that's one thing we have to realize as we're preparing to enter the labor force. You really have to engage in what's called networking. Of course, we already know this, that social connections are much more powerful than anything on your resume or CV. Let's be honest. Your CV are the tools that you have to do a job well. But to get a job, you need social connections. We do know that we have to talk to our friends. Yeah, talk to our friends, make connections, network with people, prepare for an interview by making friends with people in that company, right? That way you know what to expect. For example,
that is
go ahead.
That is something Hi, hello. That is something that happened here a lot in the movie industry because it's very small. So if you do, when you are in college studying, I don't know, photography or, or or you want to be a producer and stuff, you started to make contact because your teacher are actually the ones who make movies.
That's right.
Or makes the TV show, you know. So if you are start to get friends with them, or you are good of one of these, I don't know, photography, art direction, music, sound, you don't have to do an interview. Someone just say, you know what, that dude is pretty good in this area, so bring it on. And
yeah,
that is something that happened in my area.
Yes, and that's something we have to consider. We have to leverage or make the best use of our friendship and networking connections to find work. Having a strong resume is only half of the job. You have to combine that with your social skills, and that includes your speaking, right?
Yeah.
Of course. That's probably
good
why.
Liar.
Yeah, a good improviser. Right?
Okay.
But
Right.
I have a strange experience because you said you need to laugh, you need to show your smile. But when I have experience, when I went to one time the job interview, I step in the door and I start to laughing. He is asking me in the interview. He said, "Why are you laughing?"
Probably we need to.
He said, "Do you think it's funny?" So
we
you
should
must not too much.
we should probably delineate between smiling and laughing. Of course, we need to be sure to have a little bit of a formal decorum when we enter a company. Let's talk about some of the expectations that we can expect with companies, regardless of culture. For one, what about interview time? I think this is probably very universal. If a company has asked you to interview with them at a specific time, when should you arrive at the office?
30 minutes early.
30 minutes early.
10 minutes early.
Yeah, at least maybe not too early, but at least a little bit earlier than the actual interview, right? We should definitely not be late.
Because if you come like a bit late or on time, you're gonna be like in a rush, or you're gonna be gonna affect your productive at the interview, and especially like if you come in a hurry, you will look like stressed, or like what are you gonna do, because you are preparing for the question that you expected to be asked, but like because you're a bit late, so you're gonna like mix everything together, and you just want to make it like on time, and you don't care about anything else. So that's why like should be like earlier, 15 minutes or something. And as you said earlier about the interview, like you have to make balance between fake it to make it, and you have to be as the one who you are, you know. Like you have to make like balance, because as you said, it's really kind of a big problem at the first like 2 minutes in the interview, because like you say like it's gonna give a good or bad impression about yourself. So just try to make like any joke or anything about the weather or about anything, just to make sure that everything started like in a social life, or not in the actual interview. Just if you say like, oh, this look like hot weather here, or just say anything, just to make sure that everything, like you're treating the person who is making the interview with you as a friend or something. He's not your boss. He's not your like someone who you're gonna be to fear from him, you know. Just like feel as you are. This is the beginning, and then when it comes to the question, here you have to fake it. You have to be familiar with the procedure, or like say like theory, and he knows that you'll never practice this theory, but at least you know this is kind to make it like as fake here. So like the idea is what I'm trying to say, like you have to be balanced between the person who you are, or the practical person, and between the theoretical person. So this is like my experience about the interview. Actually, like I've done like around 4 or 5 interviews, and all of them like went well.
I think so, and I think you're right. And that's one reason we should, one, be punctual and on time when we're at a interview, because it clears your head, you're not stressed, you're going in with a very relaxed state of being, so you're yourself and you're very confident. Another point, I think this is probably true, you have to balance between having a very how to say, very relaxed state of being, and also faking it, showing that interest or knowledge of the company. I think so. That's something we all have to look at. Even though it's so, I know you're thinking, but Matthew, I'm applying to like 10 different companies. How can I do this? It's unfortunately, that's why that we always say job searching is a full-time job. So that it's a research job, isn't it? Yes. Especially in a rough economy like what most of our nations have right now. I think France, Anais, France, 15% unemployment rate at the moment.
Yeah, something like that.
A little difficult.
It's over 10 for sure. And the thing is that
it's
kind of complicated to fire someone. It's really hard. And so the background checking is really, really tough. If you're not from the, if you don't have the good experience, if you don't have the right degree, it's just done. You're not fit for a job. They wouldn't give you the chance just because they know that if you can't make it, they can fire you. So it's really, really tough right now in France to find jobs. And even to be a teacher, to be a cashier, to be a salesman, things like that, they ask you diplomas and degrees and experiences just because it's getting really tough.
Wow, that's of course here in the United States, firing somebody pretty easy actually, not too hard.
Fire.
Everywhere.
It's like
so for us, except if he hits you, it's basically impossible to fire him once he has the contract.
Man, I envy the French worker.
Yeah, but he hurt us at the same time because they are scared to give you your chance. You know.
Of course. And we
drinking, man.
It's grape juice. Relax.
Wow.
Grape juice.
I only had Coca-Cola.
Like
you guys know in the evening I always drink juice and coffee while I'm teaching my evening classes, as you know.
What a plan.
Good combination.
I'm sure.
What's the time?
It is 20:47 here, so not too late actually.
Matthew,
I usually teach. Yes, Tim.
20. You said is a 5 people in US is very easy. What about consumption?
Compensation. There's of course there's unemployment insurance if you are, just like in France or any other Western country. In the US, if you are fired, the government will cover you with unemployment insurance and healthcare for 90 weeks after you're fired. But after 90 weeks, that's all. That's it. It's not like in France or the UK where you can be protected or compensated almost indefinitely. For us, it's only about a year and a half, and you must work after that. That's so. For example, if I was working for a company as a factory worker and I lost my job, I can be compensated nearly the same salary as I was making for the next 90 weeks, so my family's okay. But it's only to help me find work, because as you know, in America, our cultural values are a little bit different than France. We're much more individualistic and pro-business, and there's not a very strong grain of social democracy here. It's much more classical liberal democracy.
What about union also, workers' union?
Very weak in the United States. Very weak.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we have labor, but labor is usually among government employees and school teachers and the police and firefighters. Those are most of the strong labor unions, but if you notice, most of those are public employees. Private unions have been losing strength here for about 40 years.
Do you think in the future if in the future union become strong or going weak?
Probably in the public sector, the government, they will remain strong. I don't think in the private sector. As an economics person, I think probably in the private sector in the U.S., organized labor as it currently exists is losing a lot of its influence. It's probably dying out.
I see.
At least that's the perception of many economists. Who knows? Politics is a crazy thing. It could completely change. Who knows? But I don't think it will. I think mostly unions will stay strong in government sector and maybe continue to be weak in the private sector, which is also important because in a lot of countries, actually union membership, labor union membership, is helpful for job interviewing. That's often the case in most of Western Europe and France. For example, if Anais was a baker and she was with the baker's local union, likely it would be helpful for her interview. So if you are in a country with a strong organized labor presence, like with the unions, you should consider exploring the option of membership. I think it can be a helpful networking tool. Okay, that is something to consider. I'm glad that you brought that up, Tim.
I think UK is very strong about unions.
Yeah, probably. I certainly stronger than here. They have a much larger presence in the especially with the relationship to the Labour Party in the UK. Yeah. So I'm glad that you brought that up, Tim. Labor relations are always very important when it comes to job interviews, but especially right now with this bad economy, especially in the US, they're not very potent. Okay.
Hopefully.
So I think that's a very big deal. Mike, are you social networking already on Verbling Chat? Fantastic!
Yeah.
Wow! My goodness! Dun dun dun! You're fired, Mike. Fired, Mike.
Why?
¿Por qué yo dije? That's why.
No, man.
That's because I said so.
Don't be like Donald Trump, man.
Oh, please. That is the worst. Okay, guys, you know that is the worst example of a job interview. You know that is just fake. That do never take a job interview advice from that TV show. Please.
Yeah, I don't believe that, man.
The Apprentice. It's a reality TV show.
Okay.
Yeah,
It is like the MTV show like Sweet 16. That suck, man.
Well, yeah, it's definitely not very effective. So, guys, let's think about the stuff that we've talked about so far. We've talked about that we know that. How many seconds do we have to make a good first impression? Who can remind us?
15.
15, that's right. And we know we also need to be punctual. That means on time.
I read an article talking about that an employer, or interviewer know that in the first 3 minutes that if you're going to be hired or not.
Yeah, it's very, very soon. So what are some ways that we talked about we can impress our employer, even if we're just applying for something like an administrative assistant or office job? Has nothing to do with the company's mission. Like, what should we do every time before we have a face-to-face interview? We should starts with an R.
Yes,
research.
Yes, research. I know it's tedious.
Okay.
I know it's boring,
Tedious.
Yes, very tedious. I know. It's very, very boring, but guys, nothing is going to impress an employer more than if you understand the mission of their company and explain how you can be part of that.
Mission and values.
Yeah, their mission and values. Because if you're applying to be a secretary or administrative professional with a weapons company or a medical company or a hotel, you need to explain maybe, okay, you're not there as a doctor or as a weapons designer or as the hotel manager, but you do understand the mission and that you have an interest in the company. That's going to make a difference.
I mean, in France, we have companies, who are hired by other companies to find people for them. And now, when you look at, Monsters and all of this website, they don't even tell you for what kind of company it is.
Mm-hmm. That's
So it's scary, you know. You don't even know. I mean, you know what you're supposed to do, but you don't know where and for who.
Yeah, that's called a temping agency, and that's why you have to be kind of also right now flexible. You have to be a little bit flexible, unfortunately, right? For example, for my first, like to show flexibility, my first teaching position, I graduated with my bachelor's in 2009, right? So I was fresh out of university. It was the height of the recession in the United States, so I applied for teaching jobs many places, and I ended up going to South Korea, because why? It offered, I mean, of all of the positions that I was offered a job at, it was the best salary and the best benefits. And it was also next to the DMZ, the demilitarized zone, so I knew it would look good on my resume when I finished, because holy crap, how many teachers have ever taught next to North Korea, right? So you have to consider these things.
What is that? DMS?
DMZ?
DMZ.
Demilitarized zone. It's the armed military border between North and South Korea.
Okay, I asked this because I know that term, but in computer, you know.
Yeah, it's okay. That's the political term. It's the big military border, the armed border of 3 million soldiers, with the different armies staring at each other. As you can figure, my mother was so happy that I took that middle school job.
Really?
Actually, promise I told her at first I was going to be living in Seoul, not the DMZ. So when she found out that I lied, she was a little not happy. But
on Netflix, there's a documentary about North Korea right now.
Yeah.
And they show, you know, the DMZ, and it's crazy. That's so scary.
I lived right there. That's exactly where I lived. And my apartment was right next to the border.
So scary. I mean, you know, there's a place where
the two soldiers stare at each other like this.
Yeah, and they have a room, you know, where the North and the South
yes.
can meet.
Yes, and half of the room is North Korea and half is South.
And when they open the door, I mean, it was the South Korean, you know, they were opening
They have
the
to hold each other's arm to make sure they're not pulled over.
I saw a documental in History Channel about that. I remember that.
Yes, it's very, very tense. So actually, that job interview, when I interviewed, the principal of the middle school told me, it's like, well, Mr. Hall, you should understand our middle school is right next to the border. It's very, you know, it's a tense situation. We have to understand, are you going to try to leave if a war breaks out? And I told them, you don't have to worry. I'm young and crazy, so it's not a problem. So, and actually, like, even though my mother was a little nervous, for example, it was a great choice. Even my own mother's, it was saying, I'm glad that you did that, because it was excellent. It helped me realize that I love teaching and that's what I want to do with my life. And that's why, guys, whenever you do get an interview and the job offer does come, even if it's not what you totally expected, go for it. I mean, you never know, because it may seem like it's a strange opportunity or it's not exactly what you had in mind, but it could be exactly what is necessary later. I never expected that's what I would do, but it launched my teaching career, and I'm very grateful for that. So if you get on board with a company, whether it's as an independent contractor like Mike, or with the director like Sebastian, or a PhD program like Zaid or Alik have, or if you're able to get into a good law clinic like Anais, I mean, you have to take advantage of it. Make use of your advantages.
Yeah, I only had one shit in my CV, you know.
You only have
one shit.
You so
I don't have any experience.
But overall, guys, good work. I'm really happy with the way that this. I'm really happy with the way that this program came out today. I like how Anais says, "Hey Spielberg, would you give me a cameo in your next movie, please?" You're gonna have to go down to Santiago in order to do that, I think.
I'm good with it.
You're okay with that?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah,
come.
she's so cute.
Actually,
well,
the
I
teacher
think you're gonna
Matthew also asked me a role.
Oh, I have to. Oh, that's right. I'm gonna be in his movie too. If it's, is it gonna be a horror movie?
Oh, it would be awesome.
Is it gonna be a what kind of movie would it be, Sebastian?
I'm going to think about it, and then I'm going to.
As long as I'm not the victim, I need to be the sexy male protagonist. Thank you. That's all I ask. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
But you may have to do a demo video, demonstration video of your acting skill on IES. Just keep in mind, you know,
Okay,
it's
sure.
possible.
Yeah.
But guys, I really want to say for the very first job interview class, I really liked the support that we were giving each other and the constructive criticism and teamwork that we had. It was very, very productive. I liked it a lot, and I think from now on, this is going to help me as I design more job interview classes for this website. As long as we keep this kind of community where we're very supportive of one another and willing to accept critiques and help as necessary. As we say, leave your ego at the door. Don't be too proud to accept help, right? So with that, that concludes my evening class for today. Tomorrow we'll be having more courses. There's a class right after mine. Let me see who's teaching it. It's yes, ma'am. No, it's not Matthew. It's not Matthew. It's not. Is it Matthew? Is it Sports Matthew?
Sports Matthew.
Yeah.
It's Sports Matthew. Isn't that cool? Isn't that the best? I love it when it's when Sports Matthew and I right next to each other. This is the coolest thing. Tell him that that I say hi and that. I want to, and that someday he and I are going to teach a music class together. Someday, somehow, we're going to figure it out.
Yeah.
I think so. And Anais, let's see. Mike says Anais is pretty like Rachel Weisz. She deserves a good movie role. And then Anais says, "LOL, she is pretty."
Yeah, Ryan's great. He's really pretty.
Yeah, she is.
Okay. Well, guys,
Both.
have a good evening. Take care. God bless, and have fun in your next class.
You too.
You too.
Good night, man.
You too.
Bye.
Good night.
Good night.
Well, guys, I have to say goodbye.